All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to beautiful historic City Hall in downtown Summerside. We have two meetings on here tonight. We have our planning board meeting and then we have our monthly council meeting. We're going to begin with our planning board meeting. So I will call to order the City of Summerside Planning Board meeting of April 15th, 2024 here at 6:23 p.m. This meeting, for members of the public who are joining in the gallery and those who are joining virtually, is a meeting of planning board. There are three planning board members who are here today. Is Councillor Snow still joining us online? No. Councillor Morrison, Councillor Duran, our chair, and myself are all sitting members of planning board. The rest of council joins us for these meetings because they happen back to back with our regular council meetings, and council has the opportunity to ask questions as well during a planning board meeting. So I would call for a member of planning board to make a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Duran, second. Councillor Morrison, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the agenda as presented. We begin each one of our series of meetings in the evenings by acknowledging the land upon which we gather as the unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years past, present, and future. At this time, I ask any member of council, as we're all sitting here in chambers, to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda. Hearing none, we'll move on to number 5. Item 5, recommendation 31 Glover Shore Road, zoning amendment. Councillor Duran, Chair of Planning Board.
Thank you, Your Worship. As you said, 31 Glover Shore Road, zoning amendment application. The purpose of the zoning amendment is to allow a two dwelling units in the proposed R3 zone. Background: an application was received from Mike Straw for PID number 652503 to amend the city zoning bylaw from single-family residential R1 zone to medium-density residential R3 zone. A public meeting was held on April 2nd, 2024, and council gave first reading on the same date. The report under section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw: when planning board reviews a zoning bylaw amendment, it has to consider the following general criteria as applicable. A, conformity with all requirements of this bylaw. Staff comment: a zoning amendment to the city zoning bylaw is required. The R3 zone allows 2 units as of right, a semi-detached or duplex. The current R1 zone allows 2 units by means of a single-family dwelling with a secondary suite. Any proposed development can or will conform to the R3 development standards as noted below. I won't read all those out. They're just obviously available to anyone that would like to see them, but it just goes over the lot depths and areas and frontage and various things that are required in R3 zones. B, conformity with the official plan. Staff comment: the application conforms to the official plan as the subject properties are designated as residential land use on the future land use plan. The text of the official plan identify the uses in each residential zone. The R3 medium density uses or allows 2 units as of right, comparable to the R2 low density uses. The R3 lot standards are less than the R1 and R2 lot standards, thus R3 is considered medium density. The R3 zone may allow further density up to an 8-unit row or townhouse or 4 apartments, subject to a discretionary use approval from council. The proposed amendments have no impact on the Parks and Green Space Plan. And that is table 5-2, residential land uses and zones. So that just goes through the different densities, low, medium, and high, and what is included in those. So C, suitability of the site for the proposed development. Staff comment: this site is suitable for the proposed residential land use. Streets and municipal services in the area are available to make connections for a proposed development. Costs associated with the required servicing for the additional unit will be the responsibility of the property owner. D, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses. Staff comment: the existing land uses surrounding the property are designated as residential land uses. The projected land uses are residential land uses. The proposed development is compatible with both existing and projected land use. E, any comments from residents or other interested persons. Staff comment: a public meeting was held on April 2nd, 2024. The public meeting notice was advertised in the March 15th edition of The Guardian. 22 letters were mailed to 18 property owners. Wayne Matthew of 25 Glover Shore Road called the development officer on March 14th, indicating he supported the proposed change in zoning. The applicant provided an overview of the proposed development and intent for the lands being considered for rezoning. No concept plan was presented for the site. Concerns or matters raised from the public meeting have been addressed throughout this report. F, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements. Staff comment, the city's water supply in the area is adequate for the zoning change, and the sewage treatment plant can handle the loading. Any new water and sewer infrastructure required for these new builds is at the developer's cost. The change in zoning for this 0.34 acre lot from R1 to R3 does not have a significant change on the sewer loading, therefore no additional charges will be applied. The existing street is adequate for the increased traffic from this zoning change. The street storm system has recently been upgraded and will handle the additional loading. The electrical infrastructure in this area is adequate. G, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety, and on public safety generally. Staff comment, there is an existing sidewalk that fronts this property. The access for the first dwelling meets city standards, which requires a minimum of 15 meters from the driveway access to the intersection of Glover Shore Road and Water Street. H, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources. Staff comment, not applicable. I, impacts on city finances and budgets, and there are none. J, other matters as specified in this bylaw, there are none. And K, other matters as considered relevant, there are none. Recommendation, city staff support the application from Mike Straw for PID number 652503 to amend the city zoning bylaw from single-family residential R1 zone to medium-density residential R3 zone, be recommended to be approved by council. As per section 5.10, part B3 of the zoning bylaw, the planning board shall make a recommendation to council on this application before it is approved or denied. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward to council for a final decision. In the planning board recommendation, the application from Mike Straw for PID number 652503 to amend the city zoning bylaw from single-family residential R1 zone to medium-density residential R3 zone bears the recommendation of the planning board. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rick Morrison. And this is a planning board meeting, so if are there any questions from council on the recommendation? If not, we'll move into the planning board only vote to move to council. So council will make a decision, a final decision on this May 7th at our regular monthly council meeting, May 7th. So all in favor on planning board, say aye. Aye. Against? Nay? So the motion, or the recommendation carries. I know Deputy Mayor Snow is absent from the meeting, so that was 3-4 and none against.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. With that, we will adjourn our planning board meeting and move immediately into our monthly council meeting. We'll begin by calling to order our monthly council meeting of April 15th, 2024, here at 6:31 p.m., and we were almost caught up to schedule. Thank you, Councillor. Call for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Councillor Adams, second. Councillor Cameron, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed, changes, revisions? Hearing none, we will continue as presented. Same as before, any conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda for any member of council? Hearing none, we'll move into the minutes. As I've started doing, I'm trying to group the minutes together, so I'm going to start with 2A sub 2 and sub 5, the two planning board meeting minutes. So for the planning board meeting of March 18th, 2024, and the planning board meeting of April 2nd, 2024, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented from one of the members of council, planning board. Councillor Morrison, second. Councillor Duran, all in favor of planning board, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are canceled, not canceled, carried. I try and get through this section as quickly as I possibly can, and I've got way too many notes in front of me on how to do it. Okay, next series of minutes, March 18th, 2024, council meeting in camera. March 18th, 2024, monthly council meeting minutes. March 27th, 2024, special council meeting minutes. April 2nd, 2024, committee of the whole minutes. April 2nd, 2024, special council meeting minutes. And April 2nd, 2024, in-camera minutes. All those minutes are in your package. And a motion to approve. Councillor McColman, second. Councillor Cameron, all in favor of adopting the minutes as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? All those minutes are now officially carried. At this time, we move into the opportunity for any member of council to reference any awards or recognitions from the community over the past few weeks. Seeing none, we're ticking right along. We're moving into public presentations, petitions, and delegations. And I see we have Marlene Campbell here from Culture Summerside, who I think is going to do the introduction, because it is the Mayor's Poetry Challenge, I believe. Are we right? Yeah. Once again, we're already back to the Mayor's Poetry Challenge. This, off the top of my head, I believe was started by now former Mayor Naheed Nenshi in the city of Calgary a number of years ago. And Mayor Nenshi challenged all mayors across the country to explore and use council and use city hall as an opportunity to have members of the community come and share their poetry in an effort to continue to draw more attention to this incredibly important written and spoken, I believe, art. And it carried off and on and spread across the country, and we've been doing it here in Summerside pretty much ever since. So with that, Marlene, I'll ask you to come up and introduce our poet for the Mayor's Poetry Challenge. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Kuchar, councillors, and city staff. Poetry holds a vital place in Canada's culture. In 1998, the League of Canadian Poets established that April would be National Poetry Month in celebration of the artistic form of expression. And Mayor Kuchar explained about how it became a challenge for city councils across the country. Each year, the League of Canadian Poets selects a theme to ground our conversations, inspirations, and focus. The theme for 2024 is weather. The League invited poets and poet lovers to delve, I should say poetry lovers, not poet lovers, to delve into the experiences, feelings, and inspirations that weather offers. Tonight, Summerside City Council will hear a weather-themed poem written by Christopher Wheeler, who came to call Summerside home in 2023. Mr. Wheeler, born in England, immigrated to Canada as an infant with his parents and spent his childhood living all over Western Canada, from southern Alberta to the coast of British Columbia and northern Ontario, before settling for almost 50 years in Canada's Yukon Territory. He has a diploma in fine arts, a diploma in computer studies, a bachelor's degree in primary education, and a fourth-class certificate in power engineering. He also has formal and informal studies in geography, paleontology, archaeology, and more. Mr. Wheeler is a photographer, editor, published writer, and poet. His first book of poetry, which is illustrated with his photographs, is titled A Parade of Dreams, and he's working on his second collection. He draws on faith and nature as his primary inspiration for his writing and is constantly engaged by the beauty of nature, people, and places. Mr. Wheeler sees art as a path towards understanding and believes the answers to life's questions and the beauty we seek can be found everywhere in creation, and that his work celebrates God's creation. Please welcome Christopher Wheeler to read his poem, Big Joe's Big Move, written especially for this evening's presentation.
awesome introduction. Your worship, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. And without further ado, I'll read my poem. Big Joe the Yukoner drove east to PEI, looking for a warming sun shining in the sky. He'd escaped the Yukon cold, years of freezing pain, huddled by the warming stove, cursing winter's rain. Driving south had taken time, 3 days on the road. Driving east had taken more, 2 weeks to be told. Northern Rockies were pristine, mountain peaks so tall. Winter snows were closing in, not much left to fall. Finally, northeast BC, Dawson Creek ahead. Joe escaped the Yukon's grip, from the north he'd sped. 7 lines left across Alberta coming next. Tarmac road straight ahead, the big V8 he flexed. Saskatchewan level ground crossed in record time. Manitoba came in sight, the country just sublime. Big skies and endless views defined that prairie space. In the mirror, storm front loomed, hastening his pace. Winnipeg's big ring road he followed to be free of city traffic and of noise, land of the Cree. Carried on, soon he came, scariest sight of all. Welcome to, the sign said, Ontario, Ario. Almost there wasn't right, I always laugh at that. Almost there wasn't right, Ontario was tough. On it went for too long, he'd almost had enough. Dryden and Thunder Bay were only just the start, then the Sioux and Nickeltown, halfway through the chart. Happily then he saw the yellow leaves of fall, while home in the Yukon the trees were bare of all. Spotting Laurentian hills and Ottawa as well, Joe could now taste the end. He'd rest here for a spell. On he forged past Bytown, forward to Quebec. The roads grew wide, full of cars, traffic all in check. Pas parler français was all he'd say, not to give offense. English was his mother tongue, all he could dispense. Past Montreal, then some more, things continued fine. Traffic thinned, then voila, he reached New Brunswick line. Now Big Joe took it slow, he'd crossed the country wide, from Yukon home all by road to the eastern side. Maritimes in the fall were something to behold. Puffy clouds and vibrant leaves, nothing here was cold. Paused by the River St. John, Joe stood for a while. Then he made the final push for the Red Mud Isle. Cloud closed in, rain came down, Big Joe wasn't worried. Bridge head, quiet wish, onward, then he hurried. The link was long, the link was high, o'er the salty strait. Cape Juraman to Port Bourdain in miles, counted 8. Here he was on the isle, just studied but not seen. Rain downpours had left the ground, muddied red, not green. As he drove to Summerside by the southern shore, sun came out and lit the route. Fall was summer more. Big Joe the Yukoner will bear his name with pride. 50 years he loved the north, wilds and more beside. But 8 months of winter can tire even the tough. Joe's happy on this island now. Winter isn't so rough. From far away, Big Joe came here to have a rest, despite the miles and the trials from the far northwest. It is here in Summerside where moon and tides are one. Winter's only half as long. Joe's moving days are done.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Christopher. And we're very happy you and
My wife, Joanne.
Joanne and Joanne made the move here to Summerside. We're really happy to have you, and fantastic that you're here today as well, and part of our adding to our rich and diverse and growing fabric of our culture here in our community. So
It's a lovely town you've got, and we're really enjoying it.
wonderful. That's great, and it reminds us all that winter is relative. Well, thank you very much. Council, any further comments? No, it's great. Well, thank you. And you don't need to stay for the rest of the meeting, though you're certainly welcome to as well. Thank you. All right, great. With that, we'll move on to item 6. Oh, the last quick question. Brian, can we make sure we get a copy of that poem, and then we can post it up and share it as well? Because I remember last year, one of the things I wanted afterwards was to have a copy of it, because it's nice to return to them, and perhaps we can try and do a little collection, Marlene. I know you're already super busy, so I'll ask you after. Oh, fantastic.
And could I just say, it's
Absolutely.
going to go live tomorrow on Culture Summerside's Facebook and website.
Great. And just so for members of the public who are joining us here, that it will go live tomorrow on Facebook and Culture Summerside website. Great, thank you again. Appointment of committees, just one committee change. I'm going to be appointing Councillor Rick Morrison to replace Councillor Barb Gallant on the Finance Committee going forward. Next item, number 6, introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions. I think a handful of these are under your purview, Chair of Planning Board, Councillor Duran.
Thank you, Your Worship. These aren't quite as poetic as our previous speaker, but I'll do my best to make them just as riveting. Resolution COS 24-038. Moved by myself, and we don't have a seconder yet, but I'll get it at the end. Whereas an application was received from Barbara Borowy for a conditional use approval to allow a home-based business catering, tutoring at 253 Maple Avenue under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas the conditional use approval was denied by the development officer on February 27th, 2024, based on the home-based business requiring an additional kitchen separate from the kitchen of the single-family dwelling. And whereas under section 5.14C of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, an applicant who was denied a conditional use permit by the development officer, either in respect of a new permit for a home-based business or renewal, reassignment, or amendment of any existing permit, may request in writing within 21 days of the decision for their application to be reviewed by council. Council, after hearing the recommendation of the planning board, may approve or deny the permit. And whereas the planning board reviewed the application and made a recommendation on April 2nd, 2024, be it resolved that the application from Barbara Borowy for a conditional use approval to allow a home-based business be approved. The application bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on April 2nd, 2024, moved by myself, and I will ask for a seconder. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 24-038, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Cameron, is on the floor. Are there further comments, questions, statements from members of the council? Councillor Cameron?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of really go over what I had discussed at our last meeting when it was brought to planning board I brought up a few different scenarios that really no one could answer because nothing fit into the bylaw, and I just want to reiterate that perhaps we should be looking at changing this bylaw because it is very restricting on what people can and can't do for home-based businesses. I also circulated 3 different municipalities to everyone on council to show that there are other municipalities that are a little bit less stringent, that these businesses, because the next one is basically the exact same issue, that these businesses would be able to operate in other municipalities. And that's all.
Thank you, Councillor. I think that went to, did we send that to Planning Board or Bylaw Governance? Bylaw Governance, okay. Any further comments, questions from members of council? Okay, with that, I will call for a vote. All in favor of resolution COS 24-038, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. I'm just looking for the right language, but the application for conditional use approval to allow a home-based business is approved. Councillor Duran.
Resolution COS 24-039. Whereas an application was received from Jennifer Fraser for a conditional use approval to allow a home-based business catering at 513 McEwen Road under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas the conditional use approval was denied by the development officer on March 4th, 2024, based on the home-based business requiring an additional kitchen separate from the kitchen of the townhouse dwelling. And whereas under section 5.14C of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, an applicant who was denied a conditional use permit by the development officer, either in respect of a new permit for a home-based business or renewal, reassignment, or amendment of any existing permit, may request, I'm having trouble with that word tonight, may request in writing within 21 days of the decision for their application to be reviewed by council. Council, after hearing the recommendation of the planning board, may approve or deny the permit. And whereas the planning board reviewed the application and made a recommendation on April 2nd, 2024, be it resolved that the application from Jennifer Fraser for a conditional use approval to allow a home-based business catering be approved. This application bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on April 2nd, 2024. Moved by myself, and I'll ask for a seconder on council, Councillor Morrison. Your worship.
Thank you, Councillor. So resolution COS 24-039, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from council? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. The resolution is carried. Councillor Duran.
Resolution COS 24-040. Whereas Corey Arsenault is requesting council approval in accordance with section 13 of the licensing bylaw CS 21 to operate a mobile sales establishment, Big Guy Burger and Fry, at 272 All-Weather Highway, property owner Highcroft Farms, Inc. And whereas section 13 of the licensing bylaw provides that council shall allow or refuse an application based on the following considerations: safety, desirability, impact on established businesses in the city, public convenience, and such other considerations as it deems appropriate. Be it resolved that council grant approval to Corey Arsenault to operate a mobile sales establishment, Big Guy Burger and Fry, at 272 All-Weather Highway, property owner Highcroft Farms, Inc. The license is subject to the following conditions: paying a license fee of $500 for a local business as per licensing bylaw CS 21 regulations. A food health permit is approved by the province. Litter disposal containers are provided on site. Hours or days of operation, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. And letters of permission from property owner or owners for proposed location. And connection of any pipe, hose, etc. to the city system requires city approval. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting of April 2nd, 2024. Moved by myself and seconded by, we will look for a seconder, Councillor Adams.
Just gotta look to the left side.
I'm trying to spread it around.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 24-040, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Adams, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from council? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor. One more.
Last one, COS 24-041. Whereas an application for a major subdivision was received from Strategic Holdings, Inc. to subdivide PID number 72421, creating parcel B to be consolidated to lot 1, parcel R, public street, and parcel T, easement for a temporary cul-de-sac, and the remainder of PID number 72421 as shown on preliminary survey plan prepared by Locust Surveys Limited, drawing number 20051-S01 dated August 28th, 2023. And whereas in accordance with section 3.6 of the subdivision and site development bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, conformity with the zoning bylaw, the orderly and following nature of the development, physical suitability of the site for the proposed development, including avoidance of natural hazards, undue water runoff, or environmental damage, compatibility of the proposed development with the present and future surrounding patterns of streets, lots, and services, including conformity with any city concept plans, adequacy of the applicant's proposal for traffic circulation, parking, pedestrian access, water supply, sewage disposal, and storm drainage, including the adequacy of city streets and services to handle increased loads, suitability of parkland provisions, impacts on city finances and budgets, proof of conformity with any applicable provincial legislation and regulations, and other matters as considered relevant. And whereas this application bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of September 14th, 2023, and whereas the applicant sought also to defer the street right-of-way, streets or municipal services for a portion of the proposed street, and there is a map attached, until the remainder of PID number 72421, excluding the proposed consolidated lot, is developed and or further subdivided. And whereas council may defer all or some of the applicant's subdivision responsibilities pursuant to section 8.8 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw SS 19, and whereas at the meeting of September 18th, 2023, item 6F of the agenda referred to Resolution COS 23-124, 678 Water Street East, Major Subdivision Preliminary Approval, and whereas at the meeting of September 18th, 2023, Council voted on Resolution COS 23-124 and approved the deferment of subdivision responsibilities pursuant to Section 8.8 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw SS 19, and whereas the text of Resolution COS 23-124 did not reference preliminary subdivision approval pursuant to Section 8.5 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw SS 19, and whereas the council is desirous of confirming its prior intention to grant preliminary subdivision approval. Be it resolved that council grant preliminary subdivision approval in accordance with Section 8.5 of the Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw to Strategic Holdings, Inc. to subdivide PID number 72421, creating Parcel B to be consolidated to Lot 1, Parcel R, the public street, and Parcel T, easement for a temporary cul-de-sac, and the remainder of PID number 72421 as shown on preliminary survey plan prepared by Locus Surveys Limited, drawing number 20051-S01, dated August 28th, 2023, subject to the following conditions. 1, the developer shall satisfy all municipal servicing requirements. 2, the developer shall satisfy parkland dedication for Parcel B. 3, the developer shall enter into a subdivision construction agreement. And 4, the developer will enter into a development agreement. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of September 14th, 2023. And all the related documents are attached as well from the Planning Board meeting on September 14th, the agenda and the recommendation. Are there any questions or comments? Or perhaps we have a booked appointment for comments.
Hi, Ian.
Hi. Good evening, Your Worship, members of council.
I'm glad you knew you were coming.
Just in case there were any questions, I am available. The staff had asked me to be here just in case there were any questions.
Let's put the resolution on the floor, and then if council have any questions.
Sure. So moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McCollum.
All right, resolution COS 24-041, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor McCollum, is now on the floor. Any comments or questions from council?
So the mystery's solved, because we're all like, why is he in here? So just to confirm, there was, did we do something incorrectly, or had we just missed a step?
I think missed a step is the correct way to
Okay,
frame it.
so this is just fixing that.
Yeah, so back in September 14th, the Planning Board reviewed an application to provide preliminary subdivision for this property. And if you look at the map that's provided in the report, on page 2 of the report, there's a section outlined in blue that is labeled Deferred Street Portion. So back in September 18th, council ought to have voted on 2 resolutions, and it only voted on 1. So the thing that it voted on was to defer that street So generally, when somebody subdivides, they have to put in the street, they have to put in the servicing, that sort of thing. So they requested the right to defer that portion until they were going to develop the southern portion of that property. So that was granted approval by the resolution referenced COS-124. What council did not vote on that evening was to actually grant the preliminary subdivision in accordance with Section 8.5 of the subdivision development bylaw. So what is before you is a resolution to grant that preliminary subdivision, that missed step from the September 18th meeting.
Seeing no further comments or questions from council, we'll call for a vote on COS 24-041, moved by Councillor Duran, second by Councillor McColman. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors.
Thank you, Ian. All right. Sorry, folks, it takes me a second to get back. You're wondering what I'm doing sitting here. I'm not on my phone. I'm on this, an effort to save paper, right? But it means I have to scroll back a bunch of pages to get to our next section, which is number 7, which are department reports. We have Councillor McDougall joined us, I guess, via phone, as did Councillor Snow tonight. But Councillor McDougall is, I'm not sure if he's still here. It seems to be that his Wi-Fi connection tends to struggle when he wants to go to the beach. That probably has nothing to do with this, but he did speak with Councillor McColman, who I understand is going to present our finance report for the evening. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I had to get back to where the reports are. The first report then that I will bring on behalf of the Finance Committee, I'd like to just thank Director Kristen Dunsford for providing the public report. And my report tonight starts with an update on the status of our utility accounts receivable. As of April 8th, 2024, the following is being reported. Total overdue balance is $345,900 compared to $264,300 in April 2023. Approximately 15.1% or $52,100 of the overdue balance is greater than 60 days old. This compares to 10.5% or $27,700 reported in April 2023. Our greater than 60 days past due has increased over March 2024 and more significantly over what was reported in April 2023. Disconnection for non-payment has commenced now that the winter months are over. We expect that our past due amount greater than 60 days will decrease as these disconnections occur. Reconnection will not occur until a significant payment has been made and an acceptable payment arrangement be made for the balance. Over the next number of months, the Finance Committee will be focusing on a debt service policy and capital planning. The annual year-end audit will soon be occurring. We expect that our 2023-24 financial statements will be presented to Council in September for submission to the province by our October 15th deadline. We are still projecting a small surplus for 2023-2024 based on our preliminary financial results. Thank you for the opportunity to present this report, and either myself or Director of Finance are available to take your questions. And one other point just for the members of council. In your package, you will find that there is a listing of various pieces of information for your reference as of February 29th, 24 on the revenue and expenses and the utility funds. That gives you a really good background of the different departments up to this point in our budget, in our new budget. And that concludes my report.
Seeing no questions, thank you, Councillor McColman. And then our representative of Arts, Culture, and Diversity, Councillor McColman, you're back up.
Your Worship. Again, good evening, members of council. And I would like to thank Director Lori Ellis for the public report she has prepared. The following report captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from the mid-March to mid-April period. Culture Summerside staff are diligently preparing programming for the 2024 summer schedule. Culture Summerside staff are preparing event details for the Old Fashioned Carnival, Summerside Lobster Carnival, weekly concerts in the garden, the Summerside Arts Festival, and Diverse City. Staff are also preparing for another season of tours of our museums, cultural, and interpretive center. The City of Summerside, via Culture Summerside, the Summerside Lobster Festival Incorporated, and Wyatt Heritage Properties Incorporated have applied for funding for summer staff from various agencies. Summer staff aid the operations of 3 municipal museums and the Culture and History and Interpretive Centers. Each summer, we look to employ approximately 7 students for museum, tour guiding, programming, archival, and festival and events work. We are currently featuring at the Lafergie Cultural Center a solo exhibition called Here and There by Sheila Forsyth. This exhibition can be viewed until the end of May. The next exhibition taking place will be the artistic works of the graduating art class of 3 Oaks. This is an annual art exhibition opportunity for the school and graduates. Planning is also ongoing for Summerside Lobster Carnival and currently accepting parade entries, volunteers, and sponsors and competitors for the various competitions. More information on the Lobster Carnival can be found at summersidelobstercarnival.ca. Culture Summerside staff are appraising and describing archival material and cataloging artifacts. We currently have 409,800 plus entries on genealogy and history, 32,000 approximately, searchable obituaries, 94,000 basically, searchable cemetery images, and 2,004 searchable digital images available on PEIancestry.com. This has been made possible by dedicated volunteers and staff. And that concludes the Culture Summerside report, Your Worship. And if I may, I just have a couple of announcements for our seniors. Free seniors lunch will be offered through St. Paul's Community Support Committee. 3 free seniors lunches. They will be taking place Wednesday, April 24th, and monthly thereafter, once a month. And that is provided as a free program to our seniors in the community. Okay, and that's on post. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. I will now move on to a representative for Technical Services, Councillor Duran.
Thank you again, Your Worship, and thank you to Director Aaron McDonald for preparing the report for this month. Preparations for the 2024 construction season continue. Staff are preparing tenders for items in the 2024 capital projects. Staff have started the preliminary stages of designing, and some tenders for this season will close in early April to be ready for May construction starts. This work will continue over the next couple of months until all projects have been tendered. 12 building permits with a value of just over $4.5 million were issued for the month of March, for a year-to-date total of 36 permits and a value of $8.97 million. We issued 2 commercial permits for alterations, and on the residential side, we issued permits for 1 decommissioning of a unit, 1 for a building demo, and then a new placement, 1 for an alteration, 2 for semi-detached, and 3 for apartment buildings. A couple of apartment complexes have recently started. 20 unit on Central Street and a 25 unit on Schooner off of Water Street East. And the 59 unit on Water Street East is advancing to the next stage of development. And developers are stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for this year. Now is also a great time for our citizens to ask for assistance with their projects that they may have planned for 2024. And that concludes my monthly technical services report.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. We now move on to Emergency Services and Communications, Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay, we'll start out with fire services. For the month of March, 29 calls were dispatched. These calls range from medical, first responder calls, silent alarms, and general alarms. Firefighters trained for a total of 344 hours for the month of March. Also, there's 4 new recruits who have been accepted into the department. They will train for approximately 250 hours over the next 12 months to get their level 1. So we'd like to welcome Breton Brown, Cameron Gallant, Scott Boudreau, and Maxwell Steves. And that's all I have for fire, Your Worship. For the police services, police service, some of you might have noticed online, have started a rewards and recognition program for our members. These are for regular and civilian members to recognize good work and contributions to our police service and community. Too often, everyone is so busy, we sometimes forget to take a minute to recognize the outstanding work that everyone in our police service does on a daily basis. We hope to rectify that with these acknowledgements, keeping in mind they are only a small token of our appreciation for everything that each of our members do for our police service and our community. So to kick off the program, the first recipient was Constable Mallory Metallic. Since Mallory joined the police force, her work has been exemplary. She always comes to work with a positive, can-do attitude and has been organizing social events. Last year, took the lead in organizing the bike rodeo and participates in other events such as the law enforcement torch run, among others. So we'd like to send congratulations to Constable Metallic. A number of staff attended the celebration of life for retired Constable Mike Rio. Mike was known for his compassion to help the youth. Challenged on a call, he met teenager Melanie Hughes, which she challenged him on, where are we to go? So after several months of meetings, a youth board was formed. Many volunteers were gathered, whom all worked so hard from fruition to the official opening in August 1997 of Generation X XX Youth Center, an indoor skateboarding park in Summerside. Featured numerously on CBC, CTV, Canadian Living, Saltscapes, Maritimer of the Week, ATV and YTV Awards, World Pan Commonwealth Youth Service Award, Premier's Crime Prevention Award. Mike also received the Queen's Golden Jubilee Medal, Charlie Ryan Award, Police Exemplary Medal, Longtime Service Award, just to name a few. Mike spent thousands of his own volunteer hours and always shared credit to the youth and volunteers involved, for without their dedication, it could not have been the success it still is today. We would like to pass along our deepest condolences to Mike's family and Susan, his wife, and his son Josh. Sergeant Pat Daly will be attending a training seminar in Toronto on genetic genealogy, which is funny because Norma, you just mentioned that in your culture. This method involves comparing crime scene DNA profiles with publicly available genetic databases, such as those provided by direct-to-consumer testing companies, by identifying genetic relatives, and building family trees through genealogical research. Investors can narrow down potential suspects. A large number of our members are being trained in Pipeline Convoy. This training is designed primarily for uniformed police officers involved in traffic stops. The program helps develop a peace officer's observational, conversational, and investigative skills. It teaches the member the ability to recognize those indicators of criminals in transit and the ability to detect those couriers with contraband as they travel using highways through PEI. And that was a report by Chief Sinclair Walker.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. I just had a note here. I jumped over economic development and growth, and Councillor Snow was with us, but he's not able to continue. He's not on the phone. Did he speak to anyone to you? Councillor Duran for Councillor Snow.
He's getting back at me for making him read all of the planning board meeting minutes when I had my cold. If it's okay, I will sit just because I don't have a paper copy and I can read it on my screen here. So Thank you to Director of Economic Development, Mike Thathuska. The following is a brief update from the Office of Economic Development. PEI Clean Tech Innovation Collaboration event. The office had the pleasure of attending and speaking at the first PEI Clean Tech Innovation Collaboration event held in Charlottetown. With over 150 delegates engaged in the clean tech innovation sector, it was a chance to share our success story in leading the clean tech file on PEI. The purpose of the event was to bring like-minded collaborators together to network, share best practices, and showcase the amazing things that are occurring on PEI in regards to driving the net zero agenda. Core Block, the office continues to work behind the scenes preparing for the start of Core Block redevelopment, anticipated to start in early June. Working with our developer, we continue to work through engineering and construction plans for this game-changing development for our downtown core. The project, which entails a new 5-story, 40-unit residential and 10,000 square foot commercial development, is slated to begin in June. This contemporary and modern design will offer refreshed residential and commercial space in our growing downtown and is just steps away from our abundance of amenities in our downtown core. The revitalization of this former dilapidated site is welcome and expected news to the city of Summerside. Summerside is a community that is seeing a renewed spotlight for investment and the economic energy, and that is exactly what is being reflected in this exciting project. And with 2 years of hard work, this project is looking to become a reality starting this summer. Green hydrogen, the office is working with our federal and provincial counterparts to advance our next major green energy file, Summerside H2 Green Hydrogen File. As we as a city look towards further decarbonization of the electrical grid and built environment, the office is finalizing a business proposal to help secure our next major investment in the renewable energy space. Summerside Cost Competitive Calculator. The office has finalized its new cost competitive calculator, which is a replacement, for the former KMPG tool. Sorry. Tearing up at such good news. This tool is critical as we engage in investor discussions to validate our value proposition for investing in Summerside. The tool examines multi-dimensional indexes, analyzing key cost structures for labor, facilities, taxes, and other key business costs. It produces key competitive reports for our key sectors that allow us to engage in fulsome investment discussions. Growing our base. The office continues to manage several employer files, focusing on assisting in helping them capture new growth opportunities and labor gaps. Local employers have indicated their ambitions to grow new markets and opportunities. As the development is the main concierge for business, the office continues to network, support, and work with our local businesses on seizing economic opportunity. And finally, Summerside Positive Energy District. The office has been leading, along with several private sector partners, the establishment of Prince Edward Island's first Positive Energy District. A Positive Energy District is a neighborhood with annual net zero energy import and net zero CO2 emissions, generating more renewable energy than they consume yearly. While the office has been leading the charge on this for the past several years, an opportunity has presented itself through our collaboration to potential further this initiative and continue to assist Summerside in developing next-generation subdivisions and driving our clean tech, driving down greenhouse gas, and developing new models and systems for economy. And on behalf of Deputy Mayor Snow, thank you, and thanks to Director Mike Thathuska. Always a fun name to say.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Now move along to Community Services and Tourism Representative, Councillor Morrison. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm delighted to present this latest report on the operations and initiatives of Credit Union Place. Our commitment to providing exceptional services, fostering community engagement, and promoting health and wellness within our beloved city remains unwavering. Our dedicated team has continued to maintain the highest standards of cleanliness and safety within Credit Union Place, ensuring a pristine environment for all patrons. Routine maintenance checks, including HVAC systems, inspections, and equipment servicing, have been diligently conducted to guarantee optimal functionality and comfort for visitors. The past month is marked by a plethora of events and activities at Credit Union Place, including Convention Center highlights with over 40 bookings, March break activities included bracelet days, kept our front desk busy, offering a variety of activities for families. Our March break camp was a resounding success, attracting lots of new faces and providing a fun-filled activities for participants. Box office sales, the box office remained active with numerous events, including the recently announced Celtic Thunder concert, attracting enthusiastic attendees. Sales for the Caps playoff games commenced shortly after the conclusion of the regular season on March the 9th. Additional highlights, we have wedge golf has seen increased attendance as golfers prepare for the outdoor season. Laser tag equipment was set up and ready for bookings with public test event during March break, receiving positive feedback from happy customers. Registration for the 2024 Shipwrights Run is now open with a portion of proceeds being donated to the Canadian Cancer Society. The Dome hosted numerous birthdays and sports groups, with some finishing up their seasons. Sensory swim attracted 20 swimmers. Swimming lesson registrations quickly reached capacity. Aquafit classes saw a total of over 600 participants in March, and the pool had high attendance over the March break. In conclusion, Credit Union Place continues to be a cornerstone of activity, entertainment, and community engagement in our city. We remain dedicated to providing exceptional services and enriching experiences for all patrons. Thank you to the continued support and partnership in realizing our shared vision for a vibrant and healthy community. And that report was prepared by Director J.P. DeRoger. And if there's any questions, we'll answer them.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. We will now move on to governance, HR, and legal. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Your Worship. The HR team has been very busy supporting several city departments with a variety of staffing needs over the past month. Numerous job advertisements have been created and posted, most of which are seen on city social media accounts. Over 250 applicants for permanent, seasonal, and student positions have been received, evaluated, and summarized. Numerous interviews were scheduled and completed, references have been contacted, and formal job offers have been made. Current job opportunities that are posted are equipment operator with municipal services, seasonal employees for municipal services, and community services. Ashley worked diligently to complete the application process for summer students funding programs to support department needs and to permit worthwhile term employment opportunities for a number of young people in our city. We hire approximately 15 students who will work with culture, tech services, municipal service, and community services. Brian and Michelle continue preparing for the implementation of the employee self-serving program for time off requests. A number of departments are using this program, and many employees can use it to access their weekly pay stubs. Ashley completed the groundwork for the 16th annual offering of the Green Commute Club for city staff, so get your sneakers out. And lastly, Ashley and Kendra organized and coordinated management training through UPEI's Continuing Education Department. This is being offered to support city supervisors and managers. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Morrison, do you have a question?
No.
All right. Yeah. Sure, Councillor Morrison. Councillor Glenn is not here this evening. Would you be able to read the last one as representative of municipal services?
Public Works, Water and Sewer Utilities highlights. The City of Summerside Public Works Department starts street sweeping efforts to clean streets as the temperature rises above freezing. In the month of April, street cleaning is due to start at the end of the month and into early May. It takes 8 weeks to do the first pass in all areas of the city, as it is heavy going for the first street clean. All areas for the city will get the first pass before the middle of June, and then it's a 3-week cycle for cleaning routes. As the spring progresses, the residents of Summerside are advised that there are limited rain barrels left in stock for collecting rainwater for use on lawns and gardens. Please contact 902-432-1268 for more information on the rain barrel program of the City of Summerside. Electric utility highlights. Summerside Electric would like to announce that the solar farm called Summerside Sunbank has been operating at full output for the month and is seeing a large impact on our renewable energy production for Summerside Electric customers. Summerside Electric customers can now be proud to say that the electricity grid is powered by 62% annually of locally generated renewable energy. And that's it.
And
Thank-
thanks to Director Greg Goody for that report.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. With that, council, we are done for this evening. Are there, the Caps are going to the finals, yes, the Saturday night against the Miramichi Timberwolves, is that it? Boo, Miramichi. I hope that makes it to the mayor of Miramichi. I was reading an article about him today, so I'll probably send him a phone call to say the same thing. Anything else, council? Great, with that, we'll adjourn before we lose anyone else.